Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversations. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
Hello, hello, hello. I have a question for you. Have you ever felt completely lost? You know, seeking purposeful direction that could and should propel your mission within your divine journey to that next level, but still it hasn't happened. Well, my name is Lauren Michaels Harris, and I'm the founder of P3, the Journey Series. People come to me because they're wounded. Many are scared, and even there are those who are bruised simply because they feel that they are increasingly, for whatever reason, losing their ability to dream. Now, this P3 program is not for a person who's just looking to start a business, no, but rather for those of you out there who have been on your journey and you've been navigating within your divine purpose, but you still desire to elevate to that level that you have not reached yet. If this is appealing, if this describes you, then I want to have a chat with you. I want to hear your story. So use the link below to get registered for your free seat at P3, the Journey Series. And let's get started, one story at a time. I'll see you inside. Click the link.
Don't see what's yours for the taking tonight.
Good morning, 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 good morning. Yeah. Even with cracked lips, I'm having a great time. Oh, kind of, sort of. Oh my God, you guys can't really tell. Don't go outside when it says -6. Leather. I am not kidding. Ooh, Jeremiah Shumaker is here today. Perhaps he'll want to make a pair of shoes from this leather. I'm kidding. Shoemaker. How many times do you think people have had jokes with his last name? He's probably heard them all. I'm going to find out when he comes in here. Jeremiah Shumaker is our guest today, but we'll get back to that in just a second. Real quick, welcome to today's installment, you guys, of Bathrobe Moments. I'm Dr. Lauren. I'm so happy to be here with you. Let me scoot over a little bit. It's a lot going on in the world. Oh my goodness. It's like this. I don't watch a lot of news because clearly, right? Do I even need to go there? Anyway, but I do like to get the highlights. So I get a thing on NPR radio every morning while I'm making the coffee and whatnot. Up first, that sort of thing. And with Corba Coleman. And I'm minding my business, doing my stuff. And I swear every 5 seconds, I'm looking over at Alexa like, did you just really say, did that just come out of you? Okay. But you know what? It's life. We're here. I look at it like this. For all of us who are making a difference in the world through being of service to people, all of us that are easing suffering in the world in our own special way. That's why we're here. That's why we have it. The universe knew these days were coming. They've always come around. This isn't new in history. We're going to make it through. We always do, but we can't do it without you. So we're glad you're here. Welcome to the show. That is, let me turn that out. Ooh. There we go. That's the bell of purpose. I didn't slip and fall just now. I rang it on purpose, with purpose. I like to think of it as a reminder. It is an opportunity to remember that just like that bell has a ring to it, you guys, so does the truth. Now, a couple announcements before we get Mr. Jeremiah in here. Oh, let me say, Robert Brooker, Lori Whitney, and the rest of you, good morning, beautiful people. Good morning. Looking good out there. Looking good. I want to tell you guys, remind you about this. On the screen is how you can get inside my new membership community. And there's something for everyone, starting with the 4 letters we all love, FREE. It is in there. If you want something that helps your day, stay on track. If you want more than just that, it's there too. Go over, scan the code right now. Get your handheld device out. Jeremiah, that goes for you too. I'm watching. That's right. Don't just sit there staring at the screen. Grab that code. 2 years it took to put this all together, and it is so that every single person, you guys, this is the year of Jubilee. I have seen it. I have heard it. I am speaking it into existence in my own space, and I hope you will too. Now, what that means is when we do our best for agreements, this year, more than ever, the gates are going to be opened for all of us that are making change in the world, but you must be expectant. You can't be surprised when all these blessings increase. All the things that you're looking for, they're going to knock on your door. Make sure you open the door and say, where have you been? Come on in. I've been expecting you. Surprised people don't know what to do when their gifts show up. They don't know what to do with it because they didn't expect it. So, year of Jubilee, Google it. It is a real thing. Comes around every 25 or 50 years, and this is that year. All righty. One other thing, if you are in or around the Boston area, the first week of March, I'll be there March 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. It's a 5-day event, but I'm only there 3 days. I'll be keynoting on March 2nd. That's Sunday. I have the afternoon keynote at the PitCon Conference and Exposition, hosting over 6,000 chemists this year, held at the Boston Convention and Exhibition Center in beautiful Boston, Massachusetts. So if you're around, get at me. I'd love to meet up, maybe have a cup of coffee. You never know. So Jeremiah Shumaker is here. I met him a couple months ago at a networking event here in the Chicagoland area. He is very talented, creative, and I'd rather he show us than me try to tell you. So best way is to get him in here. He's been patiently waiting. And I'm going to tell you, if you think you're in Jamaica, it's because it's summer in his world. You'll see what I mean, because here he comes. Put some hearts on the screen for Jeremiah Shumaker. Wait a minute. Hi, Jeremiah. Woo. Loving that
Hello.
shirt. How are
Thank
you?
you. Very good. I'm very good. How are you doing?
Good. It is Shoemaker, but then I thought, what if it was Schumacher? Are they spelled the same?
Uh, that's a great question. And actually, I don't know if we talked about it beforehand, but you got it right, which is rare. Most people jump to the other assumption first and say Schumacher. And I'm like, I think Shoemaker is much more fun.
I do.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, well, how many shoes have you made?
Yeah, I definitely think that our family had German roots, and so I think at one point it was Schumacher, and then at some point we were like, that's not as cool, and it changed. I don't know when that happened, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
Because I tell you what, somebody was probably during some drought or one of those hard times, and someone said, I have holes in my shoes, and I've only got a pence to pay to get them fixed. And so, well, there's the shoemaker over there.
Literally, when I
live there, no, the shoemaker lives there.
When I was in high school, I was thinking about what sort of jobs I wanted to take on. I legitimately was thinking about getting into some sort of shoe department salesman role just so I could have a leg up in the market.
No pun intended.
I was like, this would have been epic if I could start every conversation with, hi, my name's Jeremiah Shumaker. Yes, that's my name. I'm here for you. What can I do? I never did that, but there's still time in the future.
There sure is. So listen, what I like to do instead of reading boring bios is dip out for up to 60 seconds and let the guests kind of just share what they woke up with on their spirit today, and it always works. We have something to go on. This is a conversation more than it is an interview. And so I'm going to dip out. Stage is going to be yours. Just say hello to everybody and kind of just explain to them why you're here and what it is you get to do every day that makes you so happy and eases some form of suffering somewhere in the world. Okay? I'm going to dip out. It's all you. Take it away.
Love that. Wow, no pressure. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Jeremiah. I've been a creative for most of my life. It's taken a lot of different stages, but about 4 months ago, I officially left my job and started a creative media company called Sleepy Dog Creative. Primarily a video company. So the main thing that we do is we create videos to help tell people's stories, marketing videos, bio videos, testimonies. So yeah, basically what I get to do right now every day is I wake up and figure out how to run a business, and I have to wear all of the hats at the moment, but I'm a visionary thinker, always have been, and so being able to sit down and imagine what I want my company to be is a tremendous stressor, but a tremendous blessing at the same time. And I get to have lots of conversations with people that I've never met before, which is also a huge blessing. I'm an extrovert. I love doing it.
Awesome. Hey, so can we start at Sid McNary? When did the aliens return you to Earth? I hadn't heard. Sid McNary, you guys right there. What's up? Yeah. What's you, Alexa speaking? Yeah. I don't even like saying her name out loud. Remember back in the day, you had to repeat things 2 or 3 times for her to wake up and talk. Now you don't even have to say her name. I was walking past her a couple of weeks ago, and out of the blue, she scared the shit out of me. Out of the blue, I was wondering, she goes, "Do you want to hear a joke?" I was like, "Do it again. I'm gonna either cut your cord off or put you in a garage sale. Either way, you choose." So she hasn't jumped in since. So I'm telling you. And that sister of hers, Siri, just as bad. So anyway, listen, I want to do this today. You just transitioned from a job, quitting a job where you had a paycheck, you could count on it coming, whatever it was, every week or every 2 weeks. You almost like you had insurance and security, and you're married, you have a family. Yeah. So let's talk about how long did it take, Jeremiah, for you and the powers that be, your wife, to come to the agreement? Was she on board all along? And what about the people close in your family? I want to talk about how you got to the point, because a lot of people get to the precipice, but they will never jump. They don't, for good reason. Let's talk about that. What did it take for you to give up that security and trust in your instincts and your creative genius to do what you're doing today, to make that decision?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think of all the people around me, I was the one that hemmed and hawed the most. I think I was the one that was the most hesitant to actually do it. My wife is a very supportive person. We've been married for, oh gosh, it's only been like 9 months now. It's not even been 9 months. So like,
You're not even married a year?
first year marriage, y'all.
Lord, wait a
So
minute.
so this time last year was wildly different in several fronts. And so this has just been wild.
So wait a minute. I hope your mother-in-law and you are on good terms.
Yeah.
Okay, because
She's
I
great.
can just see him. I can just see him. Here's what happened. Ethel, you know that Jeremiah that married my baby? Yeah, married 5 months, and guess what? He just quit his job. I knew it. Right. You know what I mean? Did people think you were crazy?
Oh, I thought I was crazy. Here's the thing. Okay. To answer that question, generally speaking, I can tend to be an impulsive person. And I've learned that about myself. And I've done that in the past, and it's afforded me well and caused problems. And so when this decision came, I think I was intentionally slowing myself down, actually for like a year. And I had friends that were like, when are you going to do this? When are you going to do this? You need to do this. And business mentors that were like, when are you going to do this? But I knew my my tendency to be impulsive, and I knew that the stakes were higher because I'm looking at marrying the love of my life, and I'm looking at, doing all these things, and she's got some different health issues. That means that she currently doesn't have a full-time job. So like the income that I come up with is what we've got. And so I was
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just keenly aware of the stakes, and so I think for me it took a long time to make that decision.
But you know what, Jeremiah, to be honest with you, because I'm just like you. Well, I have ADHD. Do you?
I might. My wife does, for sure. I might. I'm not sure.
I'm just going to go out on a limb and say most likely, because I click with people that have it very fast. And you know what, that mixer, I was talking to a bunch of people, and then once we started talking, I didn't go talk to anybody else.
Yeah.
We were engaged pretty much the rest of the night, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Weren't we like the last ones to leave?
Yeah, we were one of the last people. I after, like, at the end of the networking event, like, you had given a presentation, and I was like, that's a man I got to talk to. And at the risk of, patting myself on the back, I think I walked up pretty confidently to you, and I was like, you need to listen to me. We have to talk.
Yep. And that's what did it. And the reason I'm tying that in is this. You said, I'm all into the I-N words. Those are huge clues. Instinct. Because I was going to ask you, I was like, when you came to that point to jump or not, you went on intuition. You went on what your instincts were telling you, and you said intentionally. Came out of your mouth this morning. Intentional. Ooh, 777. Yay. Ooh, stay there. Wait, let me take a picture of that. That's one of my angel numbers. I try to capture them. Camera. Doggone it, it changed. Whoever came in and turned it to 778, go home. I'm kidding. Stay here. If it drops back down, which I hope it doesn't, I'm going to get it. CADHD live and in person. So, let's go to, okay, so you, just like that confidence you had when you came up, because you're speaking. You wanted to talk. You wanted to know some things. You wanted me to know some things about you. And when you said intentionally, it really landed with me. So let's get to the point. What was the hardest part, in your opinion, about, was it putting in your notice? And when you gave him 2 weeks, you gave your job 2 weeks notice? How long did you hold up? Was it in writing?
It was an email.
How long did it take you to hit the send button?
I specifically, I felt the weight of like my finger like approach. I was like, once I hit this enter button, like it's like up until this point, it was a great idea. Now it's like a thing. And I felt the weight of it. But my situation was a little different because, my job, the job I worked at, they were super gracious and patient with me. And it was not the first time I had broached the idea of leaving.
You mean threatened?
Well, no, it was a great work environment, and genuinely it was not a threat, but they knew that I was that sort of like creatively minded, business minded person, that I wasn't going to be there forever. And Yeah, it kind of became a running joke in the office. If ever I was like, hey, I've got a thing that I'm trying to process through, they're like, oh no, Jeremiah's leaving. And so it wasn't out of left field when I reached out to my boss, but still, the final decision to officially say, no, this is happening and it's happening on this day, that was hard.
Well, what about this? How different a day makes. What a difference. You just said reached out to your boss, and now you are the boss.
Yeah, right?
You know what I'm saying?
Which means that instead of reporting to one person, I'm reporting to every single person I do work for at any point in time. So I'm my own boss, and I also now have 20 bosses.
There you go. Yes. So how much did you put into the planning process? I'm saying so. Some people, because I'm gonna just keep it real, I did not. Yeah, I went to the courthouse, secretary, over where it was, and did all the filings and. When he got the bank account and all that kind of stuff. But I didn't sit down and, do some business plan because I just not the way.
Because you're like, I've got enough personality that'll take me through.
Well, and the thing about it is I love not knowing everything. I need to have a plan. I know I'm going to do this and this and this and this and this. Because this isn't my first rodeo. It's not my first business.
Yeah.
And the one thing that gets me that is in the first year or two is when you have lean months. When you think, oh my God, what am I going to do? They're going to come take my car. Oh, I'm going to cover my mortgage, whatever the deal may be. So I want to ask you this. Did you save up and put a big cushion? I didn't. Because sometimes when we over plan and we're too cautious, to me, if I were to do that stuff, it works against me. Because I'm thinking I'm planning for my demise. I'm planning
right.
if it doesn't work. No, I plan as if there is no other choice. It must work. How was that mindset set up for you?
I mean, I will say, first of all, the reality is you could plan as much as you want, and you're still going to hit a point where you have to make the decision, and it's not really any easier to make that decision, no matter how much planning you've done or, resources you've set aside to carry yourself through. It's still a daunting, terrifying decision either way. And I had some advantages going for me. This wasn't the first time I had run a business, and we can get into that later if we want, but I had maintained a small client base since that point in time. And so I already kind of had a little bit of business movement. I had some projects that I was doing every now and then. I had a little bit of money in the savings account, enough for maybe a month, 2 months of nothing if it came to it. So it wasn't terrible, but it was enough that it could catch me a little bit if I fell. But more than that, my life was putting me in a position where I couldn't afford to stay in my situation. And it's not a dig on my job at all, but basically because my wife didn't have a job and wasn't able to find a job for due to health conditions, and I just got married, my life got a lot more expensive, and the job that I had, it was paying enough for a single guy doing what, living life, but it wasn't enough to pay for rent and a house and, all of the different things that come with marriage. And so I hit this point where I was having to do those side jobs over and above my main job in order to break even. And so the model that people recommend you do, where you work the side hustle until it's big enough to support you and then you make the jump, that just wasn't possible because I was already doing that just to hit zero. It kind of felt like I was in a helicopter that was slowly spiraling down, and what I had in my hand was I couldn't tell if it was a backpack or a parachute, but I didn't have time to find out, and so I just had to jump hope that it was what I needed. So that was what I did. Yep.
What did you do? What did you employ? What process? What methodology? What mindset, Jeremiah? When those nights when your wife is peacefully sleeping next to you, and you wake, and all of a sudden you go, and you're looking around and thinking, I'm sure it still happens now that you've jumped, and you probably even more so. Happens to me. It happened about 4 o'clock this morning. My eyes just popped open. I was like, okay, got the webinar tomorrow night. Probably should get my finishing touches on my slide deck today. These things. The thing about being your own boss and being an entrepreneur is you must be willing to understand that you're never off the clock.
Oh yeah. Oh,
You're never off the clock. So when you get a little bit nervous, even now, what do you tell yourself that eases it and gets it out? Because that's the key, to get that dismissed as quickly as possible. What do you go to? Was it your original intention, or do you think about your dreams for your family, for the future? Where do you go?
Yeah. Ah, man.
So really, what motivates you the most? That's
yeah. Yeah. Well, there's a tension there that I've felt in what you said. The first thing is that the words that you speak or the things that you think do legitimately create the life around you. Like, that's true. But at the same time, I think you need to also make space to be honest with yourself. And so if you're scared and you're feeling like you might be unqualified or in over your depth, I think you need to be honest about that with yourself as step one of that process. And then step two comes to recentering yourself in your vision and your purpose, and if it's affirmations or it's journaling or it's processing with a friend, like finding ways to recenter in the positive things and to say things that maybe you don't even believe about yourself, but if you continue to tell yourself and remind yourself of those things, it will create that reality. I think that's important too. So I think I often hold this tension between hopeful affirmations and journaling and believing in what I'm doing, and also being honest when I'm scared,
Scared. So that's a great word, right? So that's interesting that you said scared and not afraid. I think they're two different things. I know some people don't get what I'm saying there, but I'll say this. Because I'll say it like this. Physiologically speaking, we have fight or flight built in for when we are afraid of something. Something is fearful, but we don't have I don't think it's for scared. Scared is different. Scared is like, ooh, a scary movie. You don't hear of a fearful movie. Want to go see a fearful movie? That movie sure was fear-based. No, it was scary. Like there's a monster. So since you use that word, what would the monster look like? What's the biggest monster in the world of a newlywed new entrepreneur? What is it?
In part it's that I just made a tremendous mistake, but I think it's more nuanced than that. Like I mentioned, I used to I ran a business for a couple years, and I had to close it. Basically, I ran it for several years. It got to the point where I had a couple employees, and I was in over my depth, and I got into debt.
You fast with the employees? Sorry to butt in.
Oh, I think so, for sure. There's some mistakes I made that I would do differently, but at the same time, I made all the decisions I made because I felt like God was telling me to do it. Like I was very spiritually minded in my business decisions, and I don't particularly regret that, but at the same time, it created something that was very, very volatile. But all that to say is I closed that business. Which means that for several years publicly, I was telling everyone, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing, and I had a vision for what it was going to be, and I was telling people, this will be this will be this, and then all of a sudden, I shut it down. And so I think now, fast forward a couple years, the fear is that I just, for the second time, put both feet into something, and I said, I'm going to do this, and it's going to be this, and what if I fail again?
Oh yeah, I hadn't thought about that. So you look at the first one as a failure?
Not when I'm optimistic, but when things are intense, it can start to feel like it. Like I don't regret it. I don't regret it at all. I learned so much. I didn't know anything about running a business before I started that business. And now I could look into this venture, look into Sleepy Dog Creative and say, I know at least some things I should do and should not do. I know how this works. I know what I'm shooting for. I know what's important. But still there's a reality that I put years towards a huge vision, and I had to call it,
You had to smaller. Yeah. I get it. But sometimes we outgrow the thing that launches us.
Yeah.
It was there just to scratch the surface. So that when this one comes, because timing is everything. The world has changed. We have changed. We have grown. The world has grown. I want to ask you something. They sent me a note. The powers that be. What's your website for Sleepy Dog? Because we have Sleepy. Is it Sleepy.dog?
Correct. So, fun fact: .dog is a valid extension, like .com. So www.sleepy.dog is my website.
How did you come about that name?
The name Sleepy Dog Creative.
There's a lot in the name.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So when I was like 9 years old and I first started creating things, I made little stop motion animation movies. I lip syncing videos. As just learning how to create stuff. I started trying to make these full-length movies, and so when I was doing that, I was like, I need a name for my company. And so as a 9-10-year-old kid, I came up with the name Sleepy Dog Productions, named after my dog that I had as a child. Uh-huh. And so when I was looking at starting this venture officially again, about 6 months ago, looking at making this decision, and trying to come up with names that were original, weren't already taken, and meant something, at least to me, I was reminded of the name that I had when I was a kid. And so in a lot of ways, this adventure is kind of hearkening back to my roots of a childlike inspiration to create stuff.
See, that's beautiful. You have ADHD. Come on in the family. Come on in, accept it, embrace it. It is an anointing. Listen, that is so true, because I love play. I got toys all over the studio, all over it, because it inspires me. Why not have all the things that I've always loved around me? No one said I had to put them to bed. I just have to put the child, innocence, and you got to become an adult to get it done, but you can still have the joy and fun that you always had as a kid. Now listen, I want to ask you something else too. I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed, because over on your website, we're going to share your website. We're going to go over and take a look here in a little bit. Tell us about, on the top of your homepage, when you go over, and everyone's going to go over, I'm sure, but we're going to share it here. Like I said, it says authentic stories, bold storytellers, and then after a while, we'll see a little tagline thing come creeping out there about God.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, talk about this. What am I alluding to, Jeremiah?
I don't know. You tell me. Tell me what you want to hear.
Talk about it. You're bringing your faith.
Yeah.
You're bringing that with you. So many people are, two things you don't talk about, politics and religion. And I think they're the two things we need to talk about. You see what I'm saying? Whenever somebody says the things you shouldn't talk about, I go, and why would that be exactly? What are you trying to keep us from knowing? What are you trying to prevent us from finding when we communicate? Why would God tell us where two or more come together? If there were, he would have said, but just don't talk about. God knows how to put parentheses and, and that speed disclaimer, vomiting, and death. You know how they put those disclaimers at the
Yeah.
Yeah, they make sure you hear vomiting, diarrhea, and death, right? But all that in the middle, you don't even hear it. But back to the thing. Talk about why you felt it was important. You could have buried that anywhere on the page, on your site, but you have it right at the top. That's what caught my eye, and that's what held my attention. Talk about that.
Yeah, well, I guess first I'll talk about the authentic stories side of things. As I've been on this journey of figuring out what I do that's different and valuable over and above all of the other video companies that exist in the world, I found that I have a passion and a real knack for telling stories authentically. And here's what I mean. My first business was a recording studio. So we were producing music for people. And what we quickly identified was we would have people that came in that felt like they didn't really have a voice. They didn't know what their sound was. Mm-hmm. And we would put in a lot of emotional energy to sit with them, to listen to music that they like, to hear their story, their intention behind the song they were writing. And then we wrote and created something that they couldn't have created, but that sounded like them. That was the thing we were hearing constantly, like, this sounds like me. And it was like people were realizing it for the first time. There was this almost spiritual process that we were going through with our clients to bring out something in them that they didn't know how to bring out themselves. And
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I just want to tell you real quick, Letice Beavers, you see that? I have her up on the screen.
Yes, hello.
She works for one of those magazines that's in all the suburbs and in the city and stuff. And here you make commercials and stuff. I think she came to our Christmas party. Hi, Letice, you need to come on the show. Yourself. And but just listen, y'all need to get together. If you want me to put you together, let me know. I will.
Please, absolutely. So, I'd love that.
And Vicki Williams, Tippy Toes. Vicki's a inventor, and talk about an astute businesswoman. She ran like one of those spa salon things that she built from the ground up for years and retired and went to Atlanta. And now she's an inventor.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. Yes. So Leticia was her. Hey, there you go. Hi, Vicki. How are you? She says also, amen to God. Politics, not so sure. I know that's right. Got that right. So anyway, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So you would think, a lot of people would think, well, you had that first experience. Notice I didn't say failure with business. Now you just started a new one and you're a newlywed, and that should be enough. But you go ahead and start a podcast on top of it all.
Yeah. So when you start a business, it's a lot of work. And when you're a creative and you start a creative business, you learn that it's a lot of uncreative work that you're doing. You're doing boring, quote unquote, boring stuff. I still love it, but you're doing a lot of managing the expenses and emailing potential clients and having meetings, and you're doing processy stuff. Yeah, all the fun stuff. And I had a rough month in November. I had a really good month in October when I left. I had a really down month in November where just people were getting ready for the holidays, and so no one was ready to start projects, which makes sense.
Right. Get with me after the new year.
Yeah. And so what happened was, in the midst of that, I suddenly realized that I was starting to lose my true north of the reason I did this to begin with.
Wait. If this was a game show, you would have just won a fur-lined pocketbook. Seriously, due north.
Hey, look at that.
You guys, and I'm wearing it. I'm telling you, right there. Then you see, did we talk about this in advance? No, we did not.
I swear we did not.
We did
on my
not.
word.
There it is, you guys. That's important. Due north, because that is what being in alignment means. When you have to know what you're aligning with. A lot of people say it's just not in alignment with me. Well, what is me? Me is due north. It's not in alignment with my due north, my principles. See, when you leave that out, guess what's happened? Guess what happens? People don't realize we can't break principles, but we can be broken against them.
Yeah.
Crash and burn. So I just wanted to say you're right on point.
Yes.
Good for you. And
yes, sir.
The stuff that got you there, people, keep those things close. Don't let them get dusty. Don't put them up in the attic of your world. Don't let them slip between the couch cushions of your world. Keep them within reach, because there are many mornings, Jeremiah. I know we're going to talk. Let's go to here next. Let's segue to this. There are many mornings or evenings or whenever moments when, as an entrepreneur, you wake up and you doubt everything about yourself. You do not wake up these guys that you see on the screen. I do it many times. I'm 5 minutes from going live. But then I look around me and I see things that remind me who I am, how I got to where I am, the 4 agreements, the motivation manifesto. I keep these things. The bell of purpose. You're doing this on purpose. Does that thing that's lying to you right now have a ring of truth in it, Lauren? No. Ring the bell and remind yourself to listen for that ring of truth. If you don't hear it, somebody lying. And as long as it's not you, it doesn't matter about the liar. Can I get an amen? Now,
preach.
That. There it is, up on the screen. There it is. So, Jeremiah, go on. Due north.
Woo!
Yes. Yeah. So I was.
Sorry, ADHD. Charles asked. I'm sorry, you guys, because I'm doing this thing. They want to know what I'm eating every morning. Goat milk, yogurt, and mango. There we go. Back to you.
I love that. Love that. Yeah. So I was losing my true north in like I started this to create, and so there was a point where I kind of hit what felt like peak desperation, where I was like, I don't know how I'm going to pay the bills, and I'm in the second month of doing this. Like I had to tell my wife that we couldn't afford Christmas gifts. Like it sucked. It really sucked. And in that kind of low point, I had this tiny glimpse of inspiration, and I started a podcast. Now it's different than most podcasts. I created what feels kind of like an audio documentary. It almost feels like you're listening to a movie.
I love your podcast.
Thank you.
I'm not kidding. Let me just say this here right quick, because remember that conversation we had? Because Jeremiah asked a guy at this mixer, can I tell the story?
Yeah, no, yeah, go for it.
And he asked this guy, what do you think of my, listen to my podcast. What do you think of it? And whatever he said, if it was me, I'd have been like, because see, people had to stop. When I used to run Ideas Best People and they didn't give me back what I wanted, they used to tell, well, don't ask me my opinion if you don't, because I'd be like, but it wasn't the kind of thing that you were expecting.
Mm-hmm.
And so that made me actually want to go check your show out even more. I wanted to see who was right or who was closer to the truth. And he was way off. I'm sorry, because Jeremiah, the storytelling gift that you have is just an anointing. I forgot I was listening to you. I forgot I knew you, honest to God, but I've listened to myself before and forgot it was me. Didn't know it was even possible. I'm going, yes, tell him. And then I was like, wait a minute, that's me. What is that, nepotism at the nth degree? But anyway, I just want to say to you, don't ever doubt that, because you are anointed. You really are. So the show, what's it about? Tell them how different it is.
Yeah, so it centers around the inspiration of the idea to jump over the edge. And the podcast is called Over the Edge. A business mentor of mine who is a poet wrote this poem called The Edge, and that was what the creative inspiration was. And it's about the times that life brings you to the end of yourself, and you have to jump over the edge, and that true life is discovered on the other side. And so what I did was I'd seen this done before, and I wanted to try my hand at it, but I started documenting my process of starting my company in this podcast audio documentary form. And so the first episode I called it a prologue, and I told the story of my first business and how I started it and how it ran and how it ended and how I had to reckon with that whole process and go through the emotional work of trying again.
Point of clarification, and that's the thing, don't take it like that's easy to do. That's the part most people skip. Nobody wants to go back to the proverbial scene of the crime. Let's not talk about that. Don't bring it up. Oh, it'll break her heart. You know she failed at that other thing. Right, but you faced it.
Yeah.
So that you could see, that's what Oprah said. Anything that doesn't feel right or is not what you would have chosen, you look at it as an object and you say, now, why did you show up? Or why are you showing up in my life right now? What blessing do you bring me? What gift is hidden in plain sight somewhere within you? Because that's how God works. Nothing is by mistake. It's just what he does to keep our shit interesting.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah. Go on. So then what happened?
Yeah, so this podcast has been really cool because it's provided other people a chance to step into my story, to hear what's going on. It also gives me an opportunity to lead with that authenticity that I was talking about. Like, I want to help people tell their stories authentically, and if I can demonstrate what's going on behind the curtain and my fears and struggles and lessons I'm learning and successes, I'm leading by example in showing, hey, I care deeply about creating things that are compelling and that matter, but doing it while preserving authenticity. Like, that's the thing that I care about. Mm-hmm. And let me show you how I'm doing it. And so It's really cool. I've yet to hear any really strongly critical feedback. I think the conversation that you were a part of at that networking event is the most critical feedback I've ever gotten, but consistently people are saying that it's moved them, that they've been inspired to step out of their comfort zone, which at the end of the day is what I want to do. Like I don't want this to be like a thinly veiled attempt at self-promotion where I'm like, look at me, guys, I'm so important. Like, I want to be able to have the boldness and the confidence to say, this is what I'm doing, this is how it's not working, this is how it is working, you should do this too, and have people hear that and hear themselves in it.
Beautiful. I want a point of clarification. That's my new thing today. It's the era of point of clarification. That's the era I'm in right now. Okay, so I want to tell you this. Takes me to one of my favorite promises. I love them all, but I have my personal favorites. And one of my personal favorites is the one that guarantees us that no weapon formed against us will prosper. And you know, sometimes an intention, somebody's jealous of you, or we don't know what it is. That's what I love about the 4 agreements. Don't take shit personally. Don't make assumptions. And when that came out, it wasn't even really the words that he said. There was something about the spirit in which he said it that did not ring true to me. And he did you a favor because of the way you handled, because I went just like this. As soon as he said it, I looked over at you because you're the one who opened the door. He didn't just say it. You solicited it, right? So you asked for it. You got it. Yeah. And then I saw your face. Now, 1 second of, or you didn't come back. You were very humble. You extended grace. I saw it. And it was on purpose. And let me tell you what it did. When that moment happened, whatever that was, that I was like, it became a blessing for you because he just pushed me into the arms of your podcast. If it was the last thing I was not going to forget, it was going to be to listen to this podcast to see what he might have been talking about. Where did that come from? And I didn't find it. So then I said, wait a minute. He wasn't working against Jeremiah. God had him working for Jeremiah.
You know, it's wild. So for the other part of the context of that story, I met that guy at a previous networking event, and I got the sense that he is somebody who's inherently hard to please. Which I stepped up to the challenge. Like I sussed him out. I was like, all right. I bet I could get on his level. We can talk here. And so I led with such confidence I was telling him about the podcast. I was like, I think you'll like it. He's like, I'm not much of a podcast person. Like things tend to kind of lose my interest. And so I said, how about this? You listen to the first episode, and if you lose interest at any point, I'll buy you a drink at the next event.
See?
And so he was like, all right, deal. And so when we met, that was the next event. And so I tapped him and I was like, hey, what'd you think of the podcast? Did you lose interest? Did it hold your interest? And he was like, almost. And then that segued the conversation. And so it was fun.
Did you end up buying him a drink?
No, he didn't.
Oh, shit.
So that's a win in my book.
Yay. So you know what all this boils down to, everyone, is this. This is the essence of being a creative, of being your own boss, of writing your own story, whether it's work related or not. Work related is not just, you got to get out of the thing where it's what I get paid for and go into the mode of where you know it is not going to work. It is being inside the work, which is what you were made for. Big difference, because all of a sudden you have a Teflon suit because you know the truths. No weapon formed, don't take things personally, so on and so forth. These are pillars that we put in every corner of everything we are building. That's right. So let's go to the next piece of the puzzle. How do you personally, Jeremiah, assess growth in an early startup like this? What markers, what things do you have in place in your business that are measurable? This is a place I think a lot of young entrepreneurs, or just entrepreneurs ever, especially startups, drop the ball, not setting goals that are measurable, because that's an accountability piece. Talk about the measurable goals that you have.
Yeah. Well, I would say the first one for this year, I set a monetary goal. Like by this this time next year, I want the business to have grossed, this much. And it's not so much about just the money as much as it is setting a standard for when I'm hitting that threshold, and chances are I'm not hitting it, right? So it gives me something to continue to run after, and more conversations to have, and things like that. I think a huge benchmark for me was starting to move out of the I'm just trying to get enough projects on the table to make sure that this month is covered, to starting to think a little bit farther forward. At this point, a lot of the conversations that I'm having about projects are March projects, and we're in January, right? And so
Right, exactly.
I would say I just kind of,
Leapfrog. That's another great thing. Leapfrogging. Don't just do the month in front of you. Go in front of that and start filling it. Keep going. Keep going. You're on.
Yeah. I would say the next goal that I have is bringing in enough work to the point that I can outsource the post production part of the job. So basically, like, I'm shooting videos for people, and then I have some trusted friends that are super talented at the editing side of things. And I want to bring them in to do that side of the work, so that I can use the time I save to continue getting more jobs and build that momentum. And I'm working to get to the point where I can do that. And that's kind of a step in my process to trying to build this into more of a company than just I'm a freelancer doing everything. So there's a couple parts, there's a couple benchmarks that I've put of how I want this to move from I'm a freelancer or a company of one to I'm legitimately a company, and I have a process, and I have people who have specific skill sets that are way better at this one thing than I am, and I'm going to bring them in to own that thing while I can lean into the thing that I'm really good at and really passionate about. So
Okay, I've got something for you.
okay.
How about this? Ooh, right here in front of God and everybody. Download in 3, 2, 1. So, I just saw it. You and I are going to do a commercial. We're going to do a commercial.
All right.
I'm going to show here, because don't forget, we're newly syndicated. A few weeks, the switchover will be in place, which means Pluto and Tubi and 177 million homes possibly, or more. And I'm like, okay, because I'm going to tell you something. Seriously, the fact that you put your belief at the very top, that's enough for me. You see what I'm saying? And so I'm saying, okay, we're going to figure out a way to make this work. So stay tuned. You're going to see some Sleepy Dog work right here on the Bathrobe Moment show. So that's that.
Absolutely.
So hang out for a second after the show's over so we can get on the books to get started on that. I believe in being a good steward. When the spirit tells you to jump, don't ask shit. Just jump. Don't even look to see what you're jumping on, out of, or whatever. Just go. See, faith is a place, y'all. It ain't a thing. That's the key to it. If anything, joy is a place. It ain't a thing. All the things that we can't touch, there's only symbols and things for. That's because they're not things. They're places. You see what I'm saying? Right. So, Jeremiah, what is it? We talked about all the scary things, or the hurdles, or the how to find the blessing and the lesson within something that doesn't feel like it in the moment. But let's talk about those things that make you smile every day, because that's what gets us. That's why we're doing it in the first place, besides helping others, and that's what keeps us there. So where are you finding your joy nowadays?
Oh man. I mean, my wife for sure. Marriage is hard. In first year of marriage, they said was hard, and I'm feeling it. But at the same time, it's full of lots of
pressure, responsibility.
Pressure, responsibility. Two people that think differently and are different, learning how to bend for each other. I think it's a lot, right? And it also informs all the decisions I make. I can't just be a reckless idiot anymore, right? Because I'm not the only one that's coming along. Yeah. It was so much easier for me to make the decision on the business before and sign a lease on a commercial building and be like, we're going to make it work, because it was just me on the line.
See, I can live in my car if I have to, but I can't take her with me. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I people told me this before I was married, and it sounded so pretentious, but I feel it. If you're not married or haven't been married, I don't know how to explain it. I think you just know if you've been in it, but it's simultaneously one of the hardest things that I've done, and one of the things that has the most beauty in my life, you know. So I think that's a huge thing. Just the fact that I get to work for myself, and I'm building something, I'm putting all of my time in my life towards building a company that is mine, is hugely rewarding, even when it's challenging. It kind of feels like I cheated life a little bit. Like that's not what people do. They work a 9 to 5, you know. And so every time I wake up and the reality is, today is what I make of it, and the money I make today is the money that I choose to go out and try to get, and the company that I build is the company that I want to build. It's wild. It continues to hit me like that, but I think that gives me a lot of joy as well.
There you go. And that's it. That's a great place to wrap this show on right there. Joy is inside of living your dreams. As we get out of here today, before I say goodbye to Jeremiah and everyone else, you guys, there it is along the bottom. www.sleepy.dog. That's all you need. Don't say where's the .com, the .net, the .biz, just .dog. Okay?
Isn't that beautiful?
It really is. And it is inside of the comment section. Go to the top of the thread and you'll find that link. Just simply click it and you'll be inside of the Sleepy Dog world. Now, Jeremiah, thank you so much for being here. Hang out backstage. I want to get it on the books to start the talks. And we're going to let you guys know when we premiere the Sleepy Dog commercial that we're going to do. Okay? And last thing, if you take nothing else from today's conversation, folks, please take this. If you're thinking about jumping into something that is all yours, but for the world, that you can leave your mark on, don't doubt it. You were created for this moment. You don't know what living is if you only worked and poured all of your creative genius into the building of someone else's dream. For once, just imagine what it'll feel like when you pour all of that into the building of your dream. Take that with you and have a divine day. Don't let my screen door slam on the way out. And remember, I tell you every day, and I absolutely mean it. I really do. Dr. Lauren loves you, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Tomorrow morning, God willing, I'll be over there on the front porch waiting for you. I'll see you at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. Have the best day ever. Jeremiah, you nailed it. I'll see you guys soon. Bye. Have the best day. See ya.
Baby, I'll show you mine. Show me your soul. Honey, it's way past time. How expensive do I have to be? Need I spell it out before you get it, baby? Show me your soul. And honey, I'll show you mine.